Welcome to ODT Rugby Chat for another year. This is our first official rugby chat for the year because club rugby is on us this weekend. And to talk about that, I've got the man that knows all things about rugby, Ralph Perkins from the, he does everything at the Union, should be in charge in fact. I see you made a $400,000 profit today, Ralph. How much of that did you get?
Pass.
So no money. And I've got Snowy with me from the brewery, Chris Snow from the brewery, ex-Zingaree player, and he is in charge of all sponsorship activities. As you can see, we've come into the real world and we've got Speights on deck now. You'll be pretty happy about the Snow.
It's looking good, Dwyer. Actually.
Yeah.
It's a
Slight
improvement.
I've spent some time.
I like it. No, it's good.
Okay, Ralph, let's get on to it. Let's talk about the competition structure. You've made some big changes this year and we're starting a week early. Or 2 weeks early.
Yeah, Paul, that's right. Obviously, once again, a lot of consultation with the clubs because ultimately that's where decisions lie. We've got a committee, the Metro Rugby Council, made up of their delegates.
A fine body of men too, Snow, I hear.
Yeah, by all accounts.
Quite correct. Anyway, I'll carry on.
Right.
So after consultation there, prior to Christmas,
Yep.
which was quite intensive, a lot of toing and froing with the clubs, which is good because you need their input. The quality of the competition is dependent, obviously, with target players being available, so that's a consideration. And this year, the clubs came back and they want their Premier Division 2 team to follow their Prem 1. So those two things considered, it came forward a week, so we can obviously get the players in at the end to play the club final, win the semis. And the ITM Cup's coaches certainly wanted the players there playing in those club finals, and also the clubs did. So hence we're starting on the 26th of March, which is next Saturday. So certainly hope clubs are prepared. I'm sure they will be. And Prem 1 and 2 kick off and we'll look forward to it.
So let's get this straight. So Prem 1, how can you've changed the Prem 2, but is that because of Brighton dropping back to second grade? That means that it's all the Prem clubs and their Prem 2 teams. So they'll say, for example, if Tyree played Dunedin this weekend coming up, so does that mean the Prem 2s will also come and play Dunedin at the same time?
Correct, Paul. Yep, you got it in a nutshell. Brighton are not entering a Prem 2 team this year.
Yep.
For whatever reason. They're entering a senior team. So we go back to the old days where it was really where the Prem 2s were playing curtain raiser. And obviously, they'll back up Premier squad. So we've had good feedback that clubs are delighted with that change.
I think it's a great move. And Snow, you'd agree with me on this because especially with some of those clubs, I don't want to pick on clubs, but the likes of, say, the clubs that quite haven't got the depth of player, the likes of the Zingarees of this world and the Green Islands of this world and perhaps the Harbours of this world, who've got less teams in their clubs, this will make it easier for them, won't it? It just means you'll have a pool of reserve players on tap.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's at times it can be difficult. Your Prem 2 teams playing out at Port and you're playing in town to get guys there in time for that next game. So I think it's a great move, and as you say with Zingaree, it's bloody good, and it means the guys can get a bit of game time and the coaches can see them and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's a great move.
I also think, Ralph, what it will mean, because what I noticed even with the clubs that have got more depth, those guys are actually getting less playing time. So it'll mean that if they can either play Senior B or they can play Prems. At least most kids will be getting at least 30 or 40 minutes of rugby every weekend.
Yeah, that's what we'd like to see too, Paul. And clubs will manage that, how they manage that themselves every Saturday. One of the other key drivers really was clubs came back and said, we want to finish the competitions closely aligned and the grades, together. Have finals finishing closer to each other rather than they were spread out last year.
Well, I know for a fact, Ralph, like last year, for example, that the Prem competition finished at the end of July and the Colts competition didn't finish at the end of August, which is just crazy stuff. It's too hard, isn't it?
It's difficult, but you've got to be mindful too. It's not easy because of the university holidays.
Yeah, I understand that.
And there's a lot of students here, but certainly the MRC have worked closely with the clubs. The proof will be in the pudding. We've left some flexibility, obviously, in the Prem 2 grade.
Yep.
That if they need to,
if they've got kids away, they can play those games at other times if you need to.
They can make.
Righto. Okay, boys. Well, let's talk about just to clarify. I was talking to a couple of guys today who were a bit confused about everything with club rugby. So now the first round we play for the Speights Jug. Is that correct?
Yep, Speights Jug in the first round, which is there'll be a prize on the line. We'll make sure we look after the guys there.
Right. So at the end of the first round, you'll actually present a Speights Jug to the winning team. At
Correct.
That
stage,
so
whoever's the winner of the first round, we'll make sure that we come along.
And then round 2, Ralph, we get on to the Galloway Trophy, which is still presented by old Ian Galloway.
I'm not sure if Ian will be able to present it himself. He could.
No.
He wasn't last year. He's
struggling a bit now, of course.
Yes, yeah. He's.
But that still happens every year.
Yeah,
And
correct.
that's round 2, and then and then in round 3, which is the final round. Obviously, it's for the Shield, which for the Premiership Shield,
Yes.
Speights Premiership Shield. So Snow, I bring you in here again. Then, so what happens in terms of all the players always want to know what's going on with in terms of how do they get rewarded by Speights, because they love that. So at the end, so you'll do something with the first round, the Speights round, the Speights mug round.
Yep. So the Speights Jug will there'll be a prize for that, and we'll communicate that all to the clubs and make sure that they're all aware of that.
And then at the end, when we have our Premiership winner, which obviously Ralph and I know was Dunedin last year, surprise, surprise, the Sharks, the Mighty Sharks. So you host those guys for a night at the brewery?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll bring them in and make sure that we look after them and that sort of thing, and get them a feed and a couple of beers. So that's tradition, and that's what we want to keep going, and hopefully it's Zingaree this year, right?
Well, that's a big ask, but I tell you what, it would give me lots to write about if it was Zingaree. So let's think about that and come back to. And the other thing we do, of course, Ralph, is the Challenge Shield, which is ongoing. I think Dunedin probably owns that right now. Wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Apparently you own everything. So
well, that's right. It's good.
So
the Speights Challenge Shield, Ralph, that's still working. And how does that work?
Yeah, the Speights Challenge Shield is obviously the holders. It's a bit like the Ranfurly Shield. So you'll see in the ODT Friday lift out, there's a game highlighted by the rugby riders there. And obviously, as you said, Dunedin hold it. So that'll be on the line this weekend against Tyree
straight up
in the Fitzgerald Walker Cup match.
And it's only it's the team that keeps going with it, and it's only for their home game.
Correct.
And then at the end of the season, Snow, what do you do for those guys, whoever holds that trophy at the end of the year?
Again, there'll be a prize presented by us. So we'll communicate that to the clubs and make sure that we look after them appropriately, and it'll certainly be worth playing for. The guys will get pretty fired up for it, hopefully.
Excellent work, gentlemen. So let's work that out. There's a few other things we need to talk about. Obviously, there's a lot going on in town this year. You'll see a lot of stuff in the ODT next Friday written by me. I'll be getting sued next Saturday because there's lots of stuff going on. Let's talk about Zingaree for a start. Now, I hear Craig Snedden, you nearly paid him $25,000 to get him up there, but I hear he's disappeared on you already.
Yes, he snuck away, the poor bugger. We could need a bit of gas on the wing too, so it's a bit of a shame.
You'll certainly get lots of gas and lots of regions, lots of areas from him. Sure.
Yeah, correct. I think by all accounts he got a bit sick of Chris Bell's chat, so he snuck away. So
well, don't blame him for that.
No. So
he's gone back to Pirates, I hear.
Yeah, apparently. So I'm sure they're glad to have him back. Is that his home club? I'm not sure.
Well, he's now played for 300 or 400 clubs
and
around the world. So I'm pleased that he's finally made his way back home.
Yeah.
So Ralph, let's talk about player payments. Now, I'm hearing all sorts of numbers being bandied around town about players getting paid $15,000, $20,000. Have you got anything to say on any of this?
Oh, that's all news to me. You know, every year you get the old rumours that go out.
There's always plenty of rumours. They're great, aren't they?
There are always plenty of rumours, and crikey Dick, if there's a club out there with that sort of money, could I please join it? But no, I think clubs would be pretty foolish if they sort of going down that line. You know, the amateur charter's there. If other clubs want to use it, there's a process to follow. And none have come across the desk so far to chase up with the Rugby Council. But rumours are rumours, and I always look forward to the 22nd of March to see who puts on the boots and runs out.
Yeah, correct. So look, I'll certainly be talking about this next week, the player payments, and a few clubs I'll be talking to at length in my column this year. So I hear there's a few players coming to town. I hear there's a few Tasman boys could be turning out at the Eels. There's some Tongan internationals coming into Harbour. It's all going town this year. Have you heard any of this stuff, Snowy?
Oh, I've heard plenty, mate. I suppose Ralph just hit the nail on the head before. 22nd of March, we'll see them. But should I hope so? Like, the more players we can get in town and the better Otago goes, the better for everybody. So hopefully there are some lads come to town and that sort of thing. And the clubs get stronger, because if we've got a good, strong club competition, then it bodes well for the ITM Cup.
Yeah, it does. I agree. Okay, so let's move on. We are now. No, I hear, Ralph, before we move on, we're going to talk about this new competition we're about to run this year. But I understand there's a big game going on at Tyree this week. Is this the Ken Bloxham Memorial? Do they play this every year against Toko, is it? That's
correct, yeah. I'll get a plug in here for Blocker. He said to put a mention, and the game's played obviously for his father's trophy, which is up for grabs between the two clubs where Ken was obviously heavily involved in Tyree and Toko. But it's the Tyree Prem 2s.
Oh, it's the Prem 2s.
Yeah, their Prem 2 team play against the Toko Premiers, and I always hear it's a battle royal, and Blocker's done a great job. I've seen the trophy. It's a magnificent looking trophy, and I'm sure everyone who wants to get along to Peter Johnson Park on Saturday, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, kick-off out there. Get along and support it, especially those that in the memory of Ken Bloxham and their families. Yeah.
Okay, I hear it at the Eel Pit now. I hear there could be a couple of Cowboys playing. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure about Mike Kerr. Surely he won't pull the boots on.
Surely not.
He's terrible.
Yeah.
But if he does, he'll score 4 tries and kick all the goals.
Well, he will tell us
and
that.
do everything.
Yeah.
But I think Bianco is certainly lacing up the boots. So he reckons he was pretty dangerous last year for the Eels, and he's now in retirement.
I hate to say it, but I did see him play. Well, I did see he was on the paddock, but I just didn't see him.
Yeah, I think he probably realised after his wee comeback that maybe his best role's in a managerial role where he runs a cutter quite nicely.
I think he's far better off in a managerial role. In fact, and when working for Speights, that's probably where he needs to stop and start.
And he does a bloody good job at that. I will give
hear
him
he's
that.
Rep of the Year or something.
Oh, number 1, easily.
You'd probably get that from his brother Mike. Now look,
Correct.
we've got a big competition coming up, which we want to talk about. We have, just across the bottom of your screen, you're going to see rolling across the bottom of a screen shortly, you are going to see an email address. You'll see that just rolling across the screen here very quickly over the next couple of seconds. And what's going to happen is we're running a big tipping competition in the ODT in combination with Speights. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick the winners of each Premier game. You're going to pick the winners every Premier game each week, commencing in the second round of the competition. So on the second round of the competition, you've got to enter at the ODT on that address, which is marketing@alliedpress.co.nz. Send us your name, your handle if you've got one, and if you're affiliated with a club or you've got a favourite club, put that in the email as well. And then we will then send out the beginning of, I think it's about the 26th or the 27th, we will send out the entry forms for everybody to fill in their details and send them back to us each week. We'll run a running tally here at ODT Rugby Chat, and we'll also put it in the paper. So we're in charge. We want to get at least 200 or 300 people entering that competition. The boys at Speights are putting up a big prize. Snowy, can you tell us a wee bit about that prize?
Yeah,
just trying to something organised for this.
Yeah, just trying to sort it out now. But what we're keen to do is get the winner and teammates along to the brewery. We'll do a behind-the-scenes tour. We'll get one of our brewers. We'll see the new facility and all that sort of stuff, and make sure we look after them. So I reckon they'll be pretty good, and the brewers they're pretty passionate. So it's not something that everyone will get to do. This is sort of a one-off. So hopefully there's a bit of value in that for the guys.
Excellent. So we want you to get onto your email, get your email into us, and we'll get you registered for that competition. Just remember, coming up this week, we've got the big games on this weekend. Just look in your ODT on Thursday. There'll be a wrap from the ODT Sports Boys. They will be talking about all the teams, the comings and goings, new players, etc. And make sure you read your ODT on Friday, because that's when I'll blow the lid on what's going on in club rugby in this town. But just before we finish, lads, we will quickly look at the games coming up this weekend. We'll start with you, Snowy. Dunedin are hosting the Eels.
Well, I know where you two are going, so I'll go Eels.
You'll go the Eels. You'll be taking the Sharks, Ralph.
I'll stick with that. Yes.
Yeah, good work. Okay, Ralph. In the Kaikorai are going down to visit Pirates.
Yeah, I haven't read too much or heard too much about the form in pre-season games. Obviously, taking a bit what's happening last year. Where's that game at? Pirates.
It's down at Pirates.
And they're playing?
They're playing the Kaik boys.
Ooh, yeah, it'd be a very close go there, home to Pirates, but Kaikorai finished with a wet sail last year, so I'll go with Kaikorai.
You're going with Kaik?
Yeah, I like Kaik, yeah.
I think
Good
I get the feeling the Pirates boys could be struggling a wee bit. It might be Kaik. And then we've got the mighty Magpies Southern going down to Play Harbour, down to the dirty old port town.
They're probably going to catch them with reasonable, so we're a week away, weather down there. It's tough always at Harbour, as you say. It'll be interesting to see who they roll out next week, and I'll be interested in reading the column. Touch and go, can't pick a draw, so I'll go for Southern.
You'd take Southern, Snow, wouldn't you? You don't like Southern,
Nah, not a massive fan of Southern, although I think Moff's back, he's a good man.
I heard he's been dropped. So
is that right?
You read that in the paper next week too. I
Is
hear
that right?
There's talk.
Surely not.
Well, I'm amazed, but that's what I'm hearing.
He's the glue of that side.
He is the glue.
I'm going to take, is T-Pole still at Harbour?
Yeah,
he's coaching?
He's coaching.
Yeah, I got Harbour.
Super coach from down south Otago.
Yeah, no,
T-Pole.
T-Pole.
You're taking Harbour,
I'll
Marty
take
Harron.
T-Pole's Harbour.
Now, Green Island playing University out at the Spannerhead Park.
University, they're
strong?
obviously strong, but Green Island, don't underestimate them this year. I hear they've recruited pretty well in the off-season. They may have struggled a bit last year, but I'm sure they're determined to get back on, so it mightn't be as big as everybody is suspecting. So,
Okay.
yeah, watch that game. But University just in a
You'll be a University man?
Yeah, I watched them play Zingaree the other week,
Too
and
good?
the Zingaree looked pretty good for the first couple of quarters. To be fair, they looked pretty organised, but Varsity looked like they're a pretty good side. So,
Righto, and the big game for you then, Snowy, you've got to go down and visit Alhambra Union. You're going down to the Pony Pit. It's Zingaree up against Alhambra Union. Zingaree boys would get one up early, wouldn't they?
correct.
Who are you taking?
Oh, well, I'd like to see Zingaree get up and win, but I'll stick with the ponies down there at Alhambra Union.
You'll stick with Alhambra Union. I think I'm with Snow. I think Zingaree could win. That's it for the first week of ODT Rugby Chat. Just remember the big game is Dunedin playing Tyree. Dunedin will have it tough, but they win. They win by 2. They beat Tyree. We'll talk to you again next week.